You've probably seen Mount Rushmore before. Four enormous faces carved into solid rock. From a distance, it looks almost unreal, like giants frozen in time. But what if I told you this mountain is hiding something much deeper? Not just history, but a secret that was never meant for us. Buried inside the stone, there's a hidden chamber, a place designed for the future, not the present. And the most shocking part? The man who created this monument never got to finish his vision. Today, we're going to uncover the full story. What was built, what was abandoned, and what still remains hidden inside. Let's begin. Millions of visitors travel from around the world just to see these four faces. George Washington, the leader of independence. Thomas Jefferson, the mind behind the nation. Theodore Roosevelt, the builder of modern America. And Abraham Lincoln, the man who held it together. Each face is massive, towering over the landscape. But what people see today is only a fraction of what was planned. The sculptor, Gutzon Borglum, was not thinking small. He didn't want just faces carved into a mountain. He imagined something far more ambitious. He wanted entire figures, full bodies carved into stone, each one the size of a skyscraper. Picture it. Gigantic leaders rising out of the mountain, surrounded by clouds, watching over the land like ancient guardians. It would have been one of the greatest artistic achievements in human history. But that was only the beginning. Borglum also planned something even more unusual. He wanted to carve a giant wall beside the figures, a massive surface filled with history. On it, he planned to write the most important events ever recorded. The birth of a nation, great discoveries, wars that shaped the world. But there was a problem no one could ignore. The scale was too large. The letters would be enormous, yet from the ground, they would look like meaningless shapes. No one would be able to read them. So that plan had to be abandoned. But Borglum wasn't the kind of man who gave up. If history couldn't be written on the outside, he would place it somewhere else, somewhere hidden. That's when he came up with the idea that would turn this monument into a mystery. He decided to build a chamber inside the mountain. A secret hall cut deep into the rock, protected from time, weather, and even humanity itself. He called it the Hall of Records. This wasn't just a room. It was meant to be a message for people thousands of years in the future. Inside, Borglum planned to store important documents, engraved onto metal plates that would never decay. He wanted future civilizations to discover it and understand who we were. He imagined statues inside the chamber, representing important figures, lists of achievements, records of human progress, all preserved in silence. A grand staircase, hundreds of steps long, would lead deep into the mountain. And at the entrance, a massive bronze eagle would stand guard. It sounded impossible, too ambitious, too unrealistic. But Borglum didn't just dream it. He started building it. Construction began in 1927. Nearly 400 workers arrived at the site. They weren't just skilled craftsmen. They were ordinary people. Miners, laborers, carpenters, even cowboys. Most of them were there for one reason: survival. The Great Depression had begun. Jobs were scarce, and any work was worth the risk. Every single day, they climbed hundreds of steps, cut directly into the mountain. The climb itself was dangerous. The stone was uneven, often slippery from morning moisture. And at the top, the real danger began. Workers were lowered down the face of the mountain, sitting in small suspended chairs, held only by thin steel cables. Below them, a drop of over 150 meters. The wind would push them side to side, like swinging pendulums. Looking down, they could see trees reduced to tiny shapes, and rivers winding far below. Fear was constant. But stopping wasn't an option. If you refused to work, you were replaced. Most of the carving wasn't done with tools. It was done with explosions. Around 90% of the mountain was shaped using dynamite. Carefully placed charges removed massive amounts of rock. Small blasts chipped away precise sections. Larger explosions moved entire walls of stone. When they got closer to the final shape, they switched to drills. Hundreds of tiny holes were carved into the granite, weakening it from within. Then, the stone was chipped away, piece by piece. It was slow, dangerous, and incredibly precise. And yet, something unbelievable happened. In 14 years of work, not a single worker died. For that time period, it was almost impossible. But the mountain itself wasn't so cooperative. At one point, they began carving Thomas Jefferson's face. Everything seemed normal at first, but then cracks appeared in the rock. Small at first, but growing larger every day. Experts were called in. Their conclusion was clear. The rock was unstable. If they continued, the entire face could collapse. So Borglum made a brutal decision. Destroy it. 2 years of work, gone in seconds, blown apart with dynamite. They tried again, in a different location, but the same problem returned. More cracks, more instability. At this point, some workers believed the mountain itself was resisting. But Borglum didn't believe in superstition. He studied the rock carefully, day and night. Then he made one final decision. Dig deeper. Much deeper. Nearly 20 meters into the mountain, until they reached solid granite. This time, it worked. And that's why Jefferson stands where he does today. But while the faces were being completed, something else was happening, hidden from view. Behind Lincoln's head, workers began blasting a tunnel. This was the entrance to the Hall of Records. A rough cave started to form. The dream was becoming real. But then, everything stopped. Government officials stepped in. They ordered Borglum to focus only on the visible monument. No more time, no more funding for the secret chamber. Reluctantly, the work was abandoned. The tunnel remained unfinished, dark, silent, and empty. Then tragedy struck. In 1941, Borglum died. Without him, the vision died too. His son tried to continue, but funding was cut. The world was heading into war. And just like that, the monument was declared complete, even though it wasn't. For decades, the hidden chamber was forgotten. But the mystery grew. Stories began to spread. Some believed there was hidden treasure inside. Others claimed secret government artifacts. Some even believed it was connected to something beyond this world. none of that was true. The real story is far more powerful.
In 1998, the U.S. government returned to the chamber, not to finish it, but to complete its purpose. They placed 16 special panels inside, containing the story of the monument and the nation itself. These panels were sealed inside a titanium box, designed to survive for thousands of years. Then, it was covered with a massive granite slab, hidden forever. Somewhere inside that mountain, that message still waits. Not for us, but for the future. Maybe thousands of years from now, someone will find it, and they'll learn that we were here, that we carved mountains and left messages in stone. Mount Rushmore may look complete, but in reality, it's unfinished. A vision that was too big, too ambitious to ever fully exist. And maybe that's what makes it so powerful. Because inside that mountain, there's still a secret waiting to be discovered.